Hello, my Bill 4000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another That chapter. This one is titled something. Hold up. A desperate man's disturbing plot to save himself. Well, shit. Okay. I'm I'm excited to get into today's story. I'm not nervous at all about it. Okay, let's go ahead. Turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cut up with something special. Let's get. Oh, God. Desperate man's disturbing plot to save himself. Let's get curious. Curious. Because I'm curious. Like, he's trying to save himself and he's going through a disturbing plot to save himself. Like, I'm curious about it. And very concerned, but mainly curious. Yeah, let's get curious. Yeah.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, I have a story for you that starts out as a tragedy. Then it kind of quickly switches to a mystery, then a hunt, and a less than happy ending. And to top it off, it begins with my favorite, the stupidest idea you will ever hear. It's definitely up there. No joke. Before we get into it, please subscribe to New Stories for the Dark, talking horror, true crime, unsolved mysteries. You can see them every week. But now, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. Bing, 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 bing. Ari Squire.
It was pretty, early in the morning on February 23rd, 2008, that 39-year-old Ari Squire was getting out of bed that morning. His still sleeping wife Denise, she slept in a separate bedroom and she was still there, sawing wood.
Hey, my grandma and grandpa used to sleep in separate bedrooms. Mainly because like my papa was a violent sleeper. Like if you were to touch him at all while he was sleeping, he is swinging. Period. Like it don't matter. My grandma ended up like with a broken nose like 2 or 3 times because of papa before they end up sleeping in separate bedrooms. Oh fuck! I remember the first time I ever like I was spending the night with him, and you just hear, ah, fuck. I get up and run in there because, kid curious, like, what the hell's going on? Grandma's just sitting there, like, nose bleeding, probably like, I am so sorry. Man, for like 3 weeks, she had like this two big old black eyes. It was awful. And then that was, I think, either the first or second time. It didn't happen to me more times after that. And then they started sleeping in separate bedrooms. Believe that.
Away. This was a Saturday, right? So a good time to take it handy.
No, it's Sunday.
During the week,
For me.
Ari, he was a co-founder, a co-partner of the small construction company in this Chicago area. So Saturday was when he could rest up after a long week and really get into his passions. See, Ari wasn't gonna have a cup of coffee and sit in front of the box. He would be out early that morning to engage folks in his passion, which was diesel trucks. Mad about them? Does a bear shit in the woods? This was Ari's time to himself. This
Sometimes.
was Ari's time when he would go out into
Sometimes.
the small garage they had in their backyard of their upscale Chicago neighborhood. Ari was well known in his own local community of the Chicago neighborhood, but even better known in the diesel community. Hey, listen, gasoline? Get out of here. Get out. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about Big D. Diesel time. He was a kind, likable, pretty charming guy. Always happy to help others in the
Talking
community,
about the Big
be it
D,
local
huh?
or the diesel one. If you're having problems with your truck, he'd help you fix it, give you advice. They would do these meetups where they would race and do pulling competitions and just hey,
Like
listen,
some Diesel Brother
that morning,
shit.
he
Got
grabbed
you.
his cup of coffee and headed out the door into their garage to work on his white truck. Denise and Ari had been married about 14 years by this stage. They didn't have any children together. By most accounts, they seemed fairly happy together, though they sort of lived different lives. They slept in different bedrooms. They had different friends. Ari worked worked in construction as a general contractor in the area, while Denise, she was an adjunct professor at a nearby university. She herself rose that same morning about An hour or two after Ari had already headed out the door to go tinker away in his car. She'd been out the night before at an Olive Garden with her friends and she'd gotten back kinda late. So she rose bleary-eyed and not bushy-tailed, got out of bed, walked down the stairs and into the kitchen to get herself one of them cup of joes. She wasn't really concerned that Ari wasn't around. She assumed, rightly, that, listen, he's either gone out for a drive. He was the kind of guy who would always be doing something.
Have we heard this before? I know it got really quiet, but it sounds very familiar. And the pictures look very familiar too. Have we heard this before?
So if he's not here, he's either in the garage out back or he's off driving somewhere. However, as she walked over to their drip coffee maker, what did concern her was the thick black smoke that seemed to be coming out of their garage. It wasn't unusual to see smoke coming out of the garage, as Ari would always be there tinkering away. He was a bit of an engineer. But this seemed to be quite a lot of it. This looked like there was a fire. First off, Denise, thinking, well, Ari can't be there. She tried to call him on his cell phone, but she got no answer. She then walked out to the front of their house and she couldn't see his white truck out there, so she assumed he must have gone off for a drive. But then seeing the smoke only getting thicker and thicker, she called 911.
911, Lake County Sheriff. I think my garage is on fire. I just heard some noise and I'll open the door and it's all black smoke. And there's smoke coming from your garage? Should I go outside or what do I do? Wait outside where it's safe, okay?
This was at 8:24 a.m. and the firefighters arrived within minutes of the call. She was waiting in the front by the time the firefighters arrived, and she was telling them now, I'm very worried that Ari is not answering his phone. I'm starting to wonder and worry that he's in there. She began to think, wow, maybe the reason his truck is not out front is he had been working on it. The firefighters, they pushed past her and they went into the garage and fairly quickly, they were able to put out the fire. It was indeed his truck on fire in their garage. It had been white. Now it was, well, any colour had been burned away. But just as the smoke and shite cleared, they saw something tragic. They saw two legs sticking out from underneath his white truck. Now the upper half of the poor person who had been underneath this truck was burnt to a absolute crisp. But I mean, it was Ari. The face was gone, but you know, he was wearing his clothes, and they found a wallet inside, and it was Ari Squire's identification. Ari, it appeared, had died doing what he loved, working on his truck till his dying moment. An investigation would, of course, begin to try and determine what exactly had happened, but it appeared to have been a freak accident. Ari had been working on the undercarriage while the truck had been lifted up on a 3-ton hydraulic jack, but in some sort of freak accident, the truck had slipped off the jack and crushed Ari underneath.
It happens.
As it fell, it smashed a light bulb that had been hanging from the opened hood of his truck, and that then sparked a fire, and, well, you know the rest. News of Ari's death, well, it spread quickly. It's an absolute tragedy. As I said, you know, he was well known in the local community as a general contractor, even better known in a diesel community where he was like a big dog in that. His death was extremely sad. Denise was devastated. Is what the police might think she would have been, but she wasn't. When they told her,
do what?
I'm so sorry. Your beloved husband, he's burned to a crisp. Sorry about that. You know,
did she care?
Like, shit sucks. You know, everybody reacts differently to death. Some people make a joke. Some people are simply in shock. Some people laugh as soon as they hear bad news. So the police kind of put it down to that as in...
You all have been here. You have witnessed my awkward laughing. It happens, though. I don't just laugh when I get bad news. I laugh just at uncomfortable moments. It's not my fault. It's fine. And I don't ever take me to a funeral. I get very awkward, and I think I need to make people smile, and I'll just start telling jokes. Yeah. Probably not good.
Yeah, who knows how you will react, and that's kind of fine. But that usually wears off. This was gonna wear those jeans all day, let me tell you. Hours and then days would pass, and she was kind of just the same. A couple of days later, they had a big old memorial for Ari Squire at a local Italian restaurant. Over 100 people attended. That's how, you know, well liked he was. And Denise was kind of just looking at her watch the whole time as if, you know, her favorite TV show was on and she was missing it. Denise and Ari's marriage seemed cold, you know, brr. It was like they were more like business partners than a loving husband and wife. The police would even note when they
Swear
were
we've heard
walking
this,
into
though.
the Squire home, there was not a single picture of Ari and Denise together. Zero. There was only one picture of their wedding day, and it was just of Ari by himself wearing his like tuxedo. Ari was also deeply in debt at the time of his death. Before he, co-owned this construction contractor company, he had been the owner of a home healthcare company, which was being accused of $2 million in Medicare fraud. He was currently like on trial for that, and that had absolutely drained the Squires, him and Denise's bank account. They had paid over $200,000 like during the course of the trial, and it seemed like they were going to settle in the end, which would mean Ari and Denise had to pay another $200,000. Because Ari
Damn.
was on house arrest. He could only
That's-
leave the home for work and just, other essentials. His current company, the construction contractor company, it was an abject failure. They were getting shite work.
Never had
and they were even
$200,000
shiter
at
pay.
one time in
And
my
Ari was
life
also
ever.
deeply in debt because he had bought a condo complex down in Florida that just seemed to be a money sink. Money was going in, but nothing was coming out. According to Denise, it was all down to Ari. He was a black hole in their bank account. So if their marriage was a business arrangement more than a loving marriage, and they were more like business partners, that's the worst kind of business partner you can have. That's a very bad business arrangement, and anybody would probably tell you, cut your losses. So I hear you're barking big dog. The police said to Denise, does Ari happen to have a life insurance policy by any chance? Denise says, oh, couldn't tell you. The police went to the insurance company and they could tell them. $5 million, and Denise Squire was listed as the sole beneficiary.
Motherfucking insurance dance. What? Love it.
So if Ari died, this would be very good for Denise. Not only would a lot of her money problems go away due to being married to a money problem, she would also get $5 million. It's not bad. And
That's
although the
not
immediate
bad.
investigation showed this to be what appeared on the surface to be just a freak
It'd be like getting 2 free toys in the bottom of your cereal box. Gotcha.
accident, truck slips, crushes him, and then a fire starts. A deeper look at it, like more than a cursory glance, would show kind of a couple of things weird here. See, Ari was a very skilled mechanic, but he was also very safety conscious. When news of his death reached the auto community, people were shocked. Ari? Him? He died in an accident? No way. I mean, it can happen to anybody,
It can.
especially a freak accident. But
Yep.
usually those who don't take care of shit are the ones to get hit. So people were shocked Ari would be the one who would die. So the police were learning strange things about the scene. His marriage to Denise, their financial problems, and they're thinking, oh boy, here we go. If the truck did slip, you'd expect to see scratches and damages, which there weren't there. He wasn't using the jack stabilizers with the hydraulic jack, so it wouldn't have been very steady regardless. The truck slipped and fell and smashed a light, which started to fire. That would make sense. Except there was no power to the garage. The police found that the circuit breaker was off at the time. He would usually turn power off to the garage when he wasn't in there for safety reasons with all of the equipment in there.
Yeah.
So how would the light have been on to start a fire in the first place? The front wheels of the truck had been removed when it seemed like what he had been in there working on was just changing the oil filter. And Ari's body had cardboard on top of it, which was odd. Usually it might be under you,
Yeah.
against the concrete or whatever. And his
Mhm.
body was doused in some kind of fuel. They couldn't exactly tell what it was, but that seemed to ignite his body. And it seemed like a lot more than maybe something just spilled out of his truck and onto him. He was like doused in it all the way down to his socks.
Oh,
It
she
seemed
killed
pretty
him.
clear to the police
She did
this
it.
was a staged
She did it.
scene, and likely Ari was dead before his body was placed there and he was set on fire. Baby, we got a murder. Maybe
yeah, we
more
do.
than one, because investigators would soon learn of another incident, like in a neighboring part of the city, which at the time seemed unconnected, but will quickly link back to Ari Squire's death. See, the
Oh,
morning
shit.
of Ari's death, that same Saturday, a woman was concerned about her son. She was worried he could be missing.
Oh shit.
20-year-old Justin Newman should have been back by now. This was at 3 p.m. that Saturday. He had to be back by 3 p.m. because Justin would always drive his mom, Donna, to work. She worked at a nearby Target and she couldn't drive herself. Justin was, every Saturday, he would drive her to work. He was so, like, he was always there. His brother, Justin wouldn't even let his brother drive their mom to work. That's how Justin was there. So his mom was, like, kind of worried that he wasn't appearing. He wasn't answering his phone. Justin, a young fella, fun-loving, and he worked at a nearby Home Depot. He was a very hard worker because he wanted money and lots of it. He was a dreamer. Now that Saturday morning, it was his first day on the job at a side gig he had picked up at a general contractor's. He had started at about 7 a.m, but he said, I'll be sure to be back by 3 p.m. so I can take you into work. Like,
Okay.
sure, you know, first day starting on a new job, sometimes you might have to stay late as you're learning the ropes, but as I said, now Justin said he would be back by now, no matter what. So where was he? All they knew is that a customer at Justin's place of work, the Home Depot, had offered Justin some part-time work, kind of few jobs here, maybe at the weekends on your days off from your regular work. Help me out as I construction stuff. Just a chance to get a little bit more money. Justin,
Ari?
of course, jumped at it. The guy who was offering him a little bit of extra work, that guy's name was Ari Squire. That
Damn.
Saturday, they were due to go work at a job.
I was
in
right.
Missouri. Donna ringed Home Depot. She didn't have Ari's number, and she wanted to speak to Justin's boss. Maybe he knew Ari, because Ari was a very frequent customer to this Home Depot contractor. He needed supplies. He was in there like 4 to 5 times a week. So Donna is talking to Justin's boss, and guess what he says to Donna? You won't believe it. Ari was killed in a fire this morning. Shit me fan. The next day, they received a text from Justin saying, gone to Missouri, call you next week, which sounded weird coming from Justin, and it was then they reported him missing. Now, was he involved in the fire? Was he in trouble? Was he in Missouri? Had he been in cahoots with somebody who would benefit, like Denise, and then murdered Ari and then gone on the run? In the meantime, Denise was trying to have Ari's body cremated ASAP, but the medical examiner refused to release Ari's body. Because he couldn't be sure that that was actually Ari Squire. The body wore Ari's clothing, right down to the socks. It had Ari's wallet in the pocket with his identification, but the dental records weren't coming up at all. So then the examiner noted in Ari Squire's medical history that he had broken his arm, like a good few years before all this. So he was like, well, you know, a broken arm will still show up. Even if it's years old and it's properly healed, you'll still see it. So he did an x-ray of Ari's arm. That had never been broken.
This motherfucker fake his
The
death?
police had a link between a dead, possibly Ari, and a missing Justin. Justin was supposed to show up at his first day at his new job at Ari's home, and then suddenly Ari
Oh, fuck,
is
Justin.
dead. But is that Ari?
No.
And where is either of them?
Oh, no.
So the cops went to the Home Depot where Justin worked, and Ari was a frequent customer. Did anyone else note their interactions? Anything weird? Well, there they met another customer who also had a weird story about Ari. His name was Sandy, and he was a carpenter, and he had a story quite similar to Justin's. He would be in there all the time, and you know, he kind of sort of knew Ari, had spoken to him a good few times, and Ari had offered Sandy, the Sandy character, an incredible, like mind-blowing salary if Sandy would quit and come work for Ari. Sandy says, well, shucks, how about a hell yeah? Sandy then was given an application form by Ari Squire to fill out, you know, for this job. Usually you job application form, you know, you got your work history, your references, your education, your whatever. This application was a little bit different. Eye color, shoe size, waist size, piercings, tattoos, how many, where are they? It was more like for a modeling job, not a general contractor's job. The medical examiner, who was still not
Body double job?
Ari Squire's body, would say, no, this is not the body of a...
Did this motherfucker go around like trying to find someone who was closely related or resembled him? Closely resembled his like looks and stuff? Just to try to fake his death? Man, this is wild. I think we've heard this though. Don't quote me. But I think we have.
Almost 40-year-old man. Ari
It's
Squire
still
was
crazy
29.
though.
This is like the body of a 20-year-old. So as you can see, things are starting to fall into place now. And then Ari's partner at his construction firm would tell the police, you know, a couple of years ago, Ari said something a real knee slapper. He said something pretty funny. He said, "You know what? One day I would love to have a dead body that I could just, plant there and burn it up, and then I would take that person's identity, and it would be a fresh start. Start anew, new start for the Squire."
I mean, I've never thought of it like that,
Justin
but
said they were due to work in Missouri.
I'm pretty sure we've all thought of a fresh start. Just I don't think any of us is like, how many people do I need to kill to get it? That's not the way we goes about it. You know what I mean?
So the police began looking in St. Louis, and by chance a patrolman saw a crooked plate on a car. Running the registration, it linked back to Justin Newman. It was parked outside a hotel, and going in, they were told, "Justin Newman, he's staying in room 133. Police got the team together. They got all their firearms, and they readied up right outside room 133 in tactical positions. They knocked on the door, and they announced themselves, and they said, "Justin Newman, are you in there?" They got no answer. They then got the master key for this room, and they opened it. The door was still on the chain. They tried to peek in, shouting for Justin Newman to come out.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden, they heard a single gunshot. They all ducked for cover, but eventually, making their way into that room, they saw a body lying on the bed. It was the body of Ari Squire with a single gunshot wound to the head. Ari Squire had been hiding in this hotel room the entire time, and now his body was right there. He was dead for a second time. Looking at his body as it lay on the bed in this hotel room,
when you can't do it right the first time.
Ari Squire's usually brown eyes were blue. He'd been wearing contact lenses to look like Justin Newman. Denise and Ari had been emailing the entire time.
That's fucking crazy.
In on it, trying to get away from the burden of their bills. They were just waiting for the life insurance check, and together they would ride off into the sunset.
Wow.
This had been something Ari had been planning for a while. First,
Wow.
Sandy looked, as you can see, remarkably like Ari, then with Justin. Ari even got the contact lenses, the just for men, everything, to try and look 15 years younger. Can't imagine it worked. Justin was a lot younger than Ari, but he was closer to Ari in size. So that morning, Ari lured Justin over, knocked him out with chloroform, put him under his white truck, set him on fire. Then he was going to assume Justin's identity. He put in contact lenses so his eyes would be blue like Justin's, and he took off in Justin's car going to St. Louis. Denise would later say, she thought the emails that Ari was sending her while he was on the run, she thought, oh, he's dead though. She thought these were like previously scheduled emails before he died. So that's why he was asking for things after his own death about, like, how's my funeral? And did you burn my body yet? It was a very sad end for Justin Newman, who's just trying to make a little bit of extra money, working an extra job, and he was so excited to start.
Poor
Sandy,
kid.
the carpenter, he had nearly taken Justin's place, as Ari had offered him the job before he offered it to Justin Newman, but Sandy had slept in when he was supposed to go to Ari's, so he dodged a bullet, quite literally. Denise was never charged with any crime. The insurance company, they refused to pay out the policy as, well, Ari, self-inflicted. And to date, she still lives in that exact same house where she doesn't, wink wink, know her husband burned a young fella to death so he could take his place, and together they could start a brand new life. It's still weird that Denise was never charged with anything. Her attorney would claim the lie detector tests the police made her do showed she was never aware of her husband's plan to murder somebody and then switch identities. But I mean, that don't really, as we've seen before, that passing or failing a lie detector test doesn't mean much. Her attorney said, quote, she knew nothing about
It's all about the evidence.
She knew nothing about the design or the Newman man who is deceased. Her attorney refused, though, to answer any questions about the at least 4 emails Ari sent to Denise after his supposed death, where he asked, when will my ashes be returned? What are you going to do with my ashes? Denise responded, they're not releasing the body yet. She didn't say they're not releasing your body, as if she was emailing a ghost. Later, in a civil suit, a jury would decide that Denise should pay Justin's family $6 million. Who knows if they ever got a dime of that money, though.
Probably
This
not.
truly is one of the most tragic and stupid
That's a lot
plots
of money for one.
I've covered.
That was great. I loved it. Poor Justin, though.
Thank you so much for being here. It means the absolute world to me. If you're
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It means even more to me. Sorry to end you on that face. Hold on.
looking for more stories
There you go. That's better. All right. Really enjoy that. I love anything where we can get an insurance dance, bro. I like to move my body. You know what I mean? I love insurance dances. It's sad that they trying to get like whoever the fuck they can to just die so dude can hide. Like that, I could never fake my death like that. I would not be able to consciously live with myself knowing that someone else had to die for me to just be someone else. No, man. Fuck that. All right. I really enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video as much as I did. And if you did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. While you're down there, if you want, go on over and slap that subscribe button. Become part of the Bill 5000 Nation. We do some crazy stuff here. If you want to know when that crazy stuff happens, ding that bell. It might work for you. It might not. It probably won't. But if it do, jump in on one of my premieres, go over in the live chat and be like, hey, Bill, you know, sometimes the dings just need to stop. I was in the church, and all of a sudden, ding! Everybody's looking at me. I put an extra $1 in the collection plate. My bad. Leave a like and dip. That's all you gotta do. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Damn, Mike, that was good, bro. Insurance dance, a great story. Life is great.